Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, Rebels. I'm going to do a quick video today of ionic bonding. So to start, I'll sit in the dark, and then you'll get to see what's going on here. So ionic bonds are kind of what we've set up the last couple days. This is when we have a positive ion called a cation and a negative ion called an anion. And the whole point of this, some students think of it like a game, is the positives and the negatives attract, and that's what an ionic bond is. So the game we're playing today on Google Slides is how to form ionic bonds. This is very similar to your homework, but because my smartboard doesn't work as well with Google Slides, I'm doing the same setup just on a smartboard. So the setup's a little different for Google Slides. It's all in the directions, but I'm going to show you kind of how this works. I will then also, I'm sure your teacher will also show it during the meet as far as how to draw the lines. I'm old school. I would prefer just to do it on paper. It's faster, takes less room, but we'll go through that way. So the setup will always give you a metal and a non-metal. And basically what you have to do is, we have these fancy cloner things where I would say, there's my sodium, there's my chlorine, and now I have to look up valence electrons. So if I look up the valence electrons for sodium, sodium has one, right there. I look up for chlorine, a handy dandy periodic table. Chlorine has 7. So with this drag and drop feature, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So for those that like technology and doing all that, go for it. For those that don't, you can see it's a lot faster to just go Na, 1 dot, Cl, 7 dots. Either way, you're going to get the right answer, but I just wanted to show that. And then this is what ionic bonding is. We've talked 2 days now. Metals always lose, non-metals always gain. So to make this more fun, we draw in the ionic bond. That's what I mean by show how valence electrons will be transferred. The rule is basically if there's already 2 electrons there, it can't. So we need to lose one, chlorine needs to gain one, zoom! And we draw an arrow saying where does it go. Then we just need to kind of label, okay, what's the cation, what's the anion, what's the chemical formula. We started with a really simple one. Cation here is going to be sodium, and anytime you write these down here, you need to include the charges. So because this last one, Na+1, what's the anion? Cl, how much did chlorine gain? Chlorine gained 1, so it's -1. You could also use your periodic table. Can't see that because it's dark, but you could find the charges on there. And then our formula, how many of each atom did we use? We're not counting valence electrons, we're counting atoms. So the formula for salt is just NaCl. We always start with the metal. So I want to do a few more examples here, just to kind of see how this works. So here's calcium and oxygen. We would drag calcium down, drag oxygen down. All right, calcium has 2 valence electrons. Oxygen has 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And some of you can already start to see the pattern. How many does calcium want to lose? 2. How many does oxygen need to gain? How many open spots does it have? It's 2. So we go zoom. We go to that open spot, zoom. We go to that open spot. Now, did the metal lose what it needs to? Is the non-metal filled? Those are the questions you always have to ask to know you're done. So if we skip down to here, the cation is now Ca, calcium. Because it lost 2, it's going to be +2. The anion, O, because it gained 2, is -2. And again, it's not the valence electrons, it's what's our actual formula? CaO. Entry level. Let's kick it up a notch. Now we have magnesium and chlorine. And because I'm lazy, I'm going the old school way, pen and pencil. This is what I would have on my paper. Here's an Mg. Magnesium has 2 valence electrons. Check. Well, even these fancy colors. Chlorine. Chlorine, we did before, still has 7. And here's where we play the game. Magnesium loses. Zoom! Okay, now there's, make these a little bigger. This chlorine is filled, but did magnesium lose what it needs to lose? Nope, not yet. So ionic bond works, you can add to either side. So I'm going to add another chlorine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you can start to see the pattern here. Zoom! Now, did magnesium lose 2? It did. Are both chlorines filled? Yeah, buddy. So please watch down. Here's the little trick. Magnesium, because it lost 2, is +2. This part is the most mistake part of this. Chlorine, each chlorine only gained how many? It gained 1. But how many chlorine atoms do we have now? 2. So I put a big 2 in front, saying it's the same thing twice. It's not chlorine minus 2 because it doesn't gain 2. Chemical formula, this is where we write MgCl, and now the 2 becomes a subscript. It goes on the bottom. So what this means, for every 1 Mg ion, there are 2 chlorides that are stuck to it. That's how we form the ionic bond. So the last example, as hard as it gets, okay, maybe not as hard as it gets, but I'll do 2 more. I'm carried, feeling nice. Here's my Na, 1 dot. Here's my nitrogen, 5 valence electrons. Zoom! And that looks like an arrow. All right, but nitrogen's not filled. We can also add to the metal side. We would need another Na, dot, zoom, and another Na. Zoom. Now, did all the metals lose what they need? Yep. Did all the nitrogen get filled? Yep. So when we fill this out, the cation, Na, 1 plus, how many did we have? That 3 is going to go in front because it's 3 of the same thing. N is -3 because it gained 3. There's 3 arrows there. 3 electrons were transferred. So our final formula would be Na little 3 N. All right, last one. Let's do this. As hard as it gets, if you understand this one, you're golden. Mg, 2. Notice I'm using ones that we've done before, so it's easier and faster. Nitrogen, 1, 2, 4, 5. Make this a little bigger. And you play the game. Zoom! Zoom! Now, magnesium lost what it needs to, but is nitrogen filled? No. So we add another Mg. Zoom! But nitrogen's filled. Play the game. We add another N. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Zoom. And you go, wait a second. Oh, I see. We need another Mg. Zoom. Zoom. Now, did magnesium lose what it needs to? Yes, it did. Did nitrogen get all filled up? Yes, it did. So we go over here. What's the cation? Is Mg. I don't care about the total arrows. For those that want to count, you can say it. They lost 6 and nitrogen gained 6. But I only care about the individual. So it's +2. Or look it up on your periodic table, cheat code. How many did we have? We had 3 of them. N gains how many? It gains 3. How many actual atoms did you have? 2. So our final answer, Mg3N2. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, the easiest way of learning is doing more examples. So hop on to Meet, ask your teacher. Don't give up. Chem is try. Make it a great day, Rebels.